Hey everyone, my name is Wedge. Today we're looking at a deck for a commander we've mentioned before. And so, appearing for the second time on the Mana Source, this is our deck tech for Sidisi Brood Tyrant. When we first discussed Sidisi after Khans was released, we mentioned that she was a commander you definitely had to build around to get the best results. A high quantity of creatures and plenty of ways to self-mill are the key ingredients to your brood. This deck is certainly filled with both. In case you forgot, Sidisi is a 3/3 for 4 mana. Whenever she enters the battlefield or attacks, you mill 3 cards off of the top of your library. Also, when you mill one or more creature cards from your library, you get a 2/2 zombie. The plan is pretty straightforward for most Sidisi decks. Get Sidisi, mill yourself to build an army, then overwhelm your opponent. This particular list has a few more tricks up its sleeve, sometimes not even needing Sidisi to win. One of the strongest mechanics ever printed is Dredge, and it provides us easy means to fill our graveyard. Stinkweed Imp, Golgari Grave Troll, Golgari Thug, and Life from the Loam all dig for 3 or more cards, while Dakmor Salvage digs for a modest 2. Getting a couple of these in the graveyard and activating Magus of the Bazaar or Compulsion will get you through your library quickly. We have many other ways to mill cards as well. Nyx Weaver and Splinter Fright provide continuous milling on your upkeep. Altar of Dementia can act as both an enabler and a win con in the right scenario, or potentially cycle through your library with zombie tokens if Sidisi's out. Mesmeric Orb affects all players and can get out of hand quickly, and if you can't seem to land any of these, Nephalia Drownyard's the perfect answer. Hedron Crab and Cephalid Vandal are both early drops that can enable your milling. The most powerful one on the list is definitely Hermit Druid. When activating its ability, you mill until you hit a basic land. This list has 5. I'm sure you can figure out the rest. Card draw is also relevant in Sidisi as you're trying to fill your graveyard as fast as possible. Jace's Archivist will fill both your hand and graveyard. Magus of the Bazaar also provides a significant amount of draw, and if you have enough deep pockets or vintage collection, feel free to add the original Bazaar of Baghdad as well. Get it out fast enough and Jin-Gitaxias is all you need to fill your hand and empty your opponent's. Naturally, Maul Drifter, a personal favorite of ours, makes the list as one of the premier draw spells in the format. We have to get rid of the cards we draw, so naturally we run discard effects to put stuff in the graveyard. Forbid provides a little extra insurance in that you can pitch cards to its buyback. Tortured Existence and Survival of the Fittest help you dig for the right creature or just get a milled creature back. Fallen Shaman's the same as Survival here, just as a 2/2 you can usually use only once a turn. Tutors are always relevant to pull the singleton that you need, and being in black means we get to choose from the best. Demonic and Vampiric Tutor are the 2 essentials that make every deck. Diabolic Intent may be the best tutor here. Sacrificing a creature may sound like more work, but in this deck, that creature likely has way more value in your graveyard than in play. Also, Sidisi makes that cost hardly seem like additional work. If you get carried away or need to get something back, we have ways to get cards out of the graveyard. Oversold Cemetery gets you a creature on each of your upkeeps if you have 4 more in the graveyard. Regrowth and Eternal Witness provide you with cheap and potentially reusable recursion. When you need to go off or make a big play, Yawgmoth's Will gives you the opportunity for a game-ending turn. Soul of Zendikar is a big body that can get multiple creatures as an ability rather than a spell. You can still get some of that value if you mill it, which is very likely to happen here. So what are we planning to do once we get all these cards in the yard? The deck has a powerful Reanimator sub-theme and some prime targets to bring back. Animate Dead, Necromancy, Whip of Erebos, Dread Return, and Endless Obedience are ways to get back one creature. Living Death and Shieldred Whispering One both provide removal and potential win conditions, likely returning multiple creatures for you. Victimize also pulls double duty, putting a creature in the graveyard in order to get 2 back. Set up the right board and your opponent may be greeted by an early Terastodon or Runescarred Demon. So you're probably wondering, how does this deck win games? The fun part about the deck is that there are plenty of unique ways to win. You can play Craterhoof Behemoth and destroy everyone in combat. Cussed Cage Breakers can put down a ton of wolves once your graveyard is full of creatures. Living Death puts all your guys back into play, likely securing you a win late in the game. Mill yourself too much? There's no such thing with Laboratory Maniac. Altar of Dementia, Mesmeric Orb, or Phoenix God of Deception can mill your opponents out before you mill yourself. Get lucky enough and you could kill someone with Crucible of Worlds and Strip Mine, but that's a slow game and not too likely. Of course, we can't have a deck tech without an infinite combo. All you need is Life from the Loam, Phyrexian Altar, a land that cycles like Lonely Sandbar, Barren Moor, or Tranquil Thicket, and Worm Harvest. With enough lands in the graveyard, you can mill your entire library, get a ton of worms, and hopefully win from there. I'll be impressed if you can at that point. The mana base is fairly standard for a 3-color deck. You have as many duels, filters, pains, and fetch lands as you can jam in, plus your command tower. Notably, you also have access to Volrath's Stronghold, an extremely powerful land that can recur your creatures to the top of your library. Naturally, some of these lands are quite expensive, but there are plenty of substitutes in case you can't get your hands on the good stuff. Don't be afraid to use a ton of simple non-basics, like Khans of Tarkir Common, dual lands, or Guild Gates. After all, we want to keep our basic count low to make Hermit Druid better. We hope you enjoyed our deck tech on Sidisi and hope this inspires you to build or prepare against the Sultai Khan. Which of the Khans are you most attached to for Commander? Any suggestions or cards you would change to this particular build? Leave them below and we'll talk about it. As always, subscribe for the latest and most reliable Magic the Gathering information you could ever need. This is the Mana Source, I'm Wedge, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.